Hey girls, it's Tuesday. Last week was so much more negative than I had initially expected it to be. I ended up cutting most of my video because it ended up being really angry and it just turned into a giant rant. So I'm glad we're doing this much more positive topic this week. Lizzie really eloquently explained something that I figured someone else would do in this group about how we look up to J.K. Rowling as a person and our moms. Everything she said rings true for me. My mom is a huge foundation for the person I am today, and I go to her with problems and look up to her deeply. I look to her for help with all my problems. But because they were already covered, I decided I'm gonna skip over that because Lizzie did such a good job. As someone who's pretty much defined themselves as undateable for the next 2 years, I really started looking up to women who have gotten by on their own without obsessing about dates and sex and boys in general. So often single women in the media are portrayed as single and ready to mingle and counting down on their biological clock and desperate to have children rather than just being single. And this bothers me a lot, mainly because I'm not there. I'm single, but I'm not really looking for a husband. I'm not looking to have children. I want to get into my career and see where that takes me. I haven't really planned that far ahead in my life, and I think I'd be perfectly fine if those milestones, which are so commonly associated with women, like getting married and having children, if I end up just skipping over them. Sex and the City is a great show, but I can't relate to any of the girls because they all seem to just want men in the end, whereas I'm pretty much happy being alone for the time being. Because of this, I keep my eye open for independent and seemingly not dating obsessed women to look up to. Joy the Baker is one of those women. She's in her 30s, she lives with her cat, and she's on the Forbes 2010 list of the very best food bloggers. She spends her days cooking, baking, and then finding outlets for the joy she finds in these things, such as her blog, her podcast, an upcoming cookbook, and an active foodie website. She's really engaged with her audience, requesting emails and replying to all of them, and talking to them through the comments in her posts. And she isn't afraid to be herself through all her forms of media that she produces, rather than being concerned about being entirely domestic or feminine or sexually appealing. Even though I personally feel she effortlessly conveys all these qualities. She openly admits to using a borrowed camera to take her pictures and only using iPhoto to edit them, and that she loves bourbon. For some reason, I'm just drawn to her and her lifestyle that she has as a single, successful woman. Plus, her recipes are both interesting and delicious, so that's why she's one of my role models. I've linked to her food blog in the doobly-doo, but it's really simple. It's just joythebaker.com. Prior to embracing my whole nerd side, I was still involved in YouTube and blogging websites, just more the fashion and guru side of it. I never made these videos, but I did watch a lot of beauty gurus and I read a lot of fashion blogs. During this time, I, like many girls my age, discovered Breakfast at Tiffany's and Audrey Hepburn, a woman known for her impeccable style. I'm no longer fashion obsessed, but I still look up to Audrey as a style icon because her clothing was so timeless and effortless. Things that she wore I could easily wear today, even though a lot of her videos took place 50 years ago. I mean, she was the woman who brought the little black dress into the mainstream, and that's still one of the go-to outfits today. But also as a role model, I look to her humanitarian efforts that she took to later in her life after her acting career. Since she experienced World War II firsthand, when she moved away from the glamorous lifestyle of Hollywood, she became an active UNICEF ambassador and used her knowledge of language and culture to help with efforts for the world's poorest children. I admire that she went from that glamorous lifestyle to being so simple and humanitarian and helping others rather than sitting and becoming a bitter old woman whose career passed them by. And she transitioned from glamour to humanitarian efforts so seamlessly, and that's something I'd really like to do one day, kind of transition from being a career woman to, when I'm in retirement, helping others. My last major role model unfortunately doesn't exist in real life, but as someone who consumes a lot of media, be it television, movies, internet, books, etc., I feel that I shouldn't forget about the fictional characters who have inspired me. Peggy Olson from the AMC series Mad Men, who is portrayed by Elizabeth Moss, is definitely a woman who inspires me quite a bit despite not being real. She starts out as a secretary in a big advertising agency in the early 1960s, but becomes the first female writer of the company since World War II, simply by her own accord, just being an intelligent woman who's not afraid to say what she's thinking. And then after she becomes the first female writer, she eventually works her way up into being pretty much second in command in the creative department. I want to avoid spoilers here, but she experiences many things that would generally prevent a woman from continuing on with her career, and she just works past them, gets through them, and goes back to work. She's firm in her beliefs that there should be equality in the workplace,